This lesson is on solving linear systems of equations using elimination. We've already learned how to solve a system by graphing and by substitution. Now we're going to incorporate elimination. All of these three different methods are used to solve a system of two lines. All right, so let's start in this section by adding and subtracting, or adding or subtracting. So the first thing that I'm going to look at, the word elimination means to get rid of, okay? I need to see if there is any variable that I'm going to be able to eliminate or get rid of. If you'll look, and now what this is saying by adding or subtracting. So if I add or subtract these two equations together, am I going to be able to zero out any of my variables? Well, yeah, there's a negative 5x and a 5x. How do I cancel that out? Is it negative 5 plus 5? Does that equal 0? Or is it negative 5 minus 5 equals 0? Well, negative 5 minus 5 more is negative 10. That doesn't eliminate anything for me. So I'm going to know I need to add. When there are different signs, I'm going to add. And I'm going to add not just that term, but I'm going to add to every term whatever was on top. So that looks like negative 5x plus 5x, which cancels out. It's 0. You can write 0. You don't have to. And then we're going to do the negative 6y plus a positive 2y. Negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4y. And it's going to equal 8 plus 4, which is 12. Now all I have to do is divide to get y by itself. Divide by negative 4. Y equals 12 divided by negative 4 is negative 3. Now, just like we did with substitution, I'm still going to take what I got for y and plug it into either equation at the top. It doesn't matter which one you pick. Probably I'll go for something that doesn't have a negative if I have a choice, but it really doesn't matter. So I'm going to put it into the bottom one because I don't see any negative signs. All right, so I'm going to put it in down here. So I have 5x plus 2 times y, take y out, put in the negative 3 equals 4. Distribute. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, will equal 4. Add 6 to both sides. 5x equals 10, and divide by 5, x equals 2. So my solution is 2, negative 3. All right, let's recall these were opposite signs. That there was a negative 5 and a positive 5. Those were opposite signs. All right, so let's continue on here. Example 2. I have two different variables. This x has a 6 coefficient and then x has a negative 3. That's not going to cancel out nice and easy. But this is a negative 4 and a positive 4. Those are opposite signs as well. So what did I do at the top one? If they were opposite signs, I added them together. So let's do that. I'm going to add the two equations together to cancel out that y. 6 plus negative 3x is 3x. Negative 4 plus positive 4y zeroes out. And 14 plus 1 is 15. Divide by 3. X equals 5. All right, plug it back in to either equation at the top. Since both of them have a negative or a subtraction sign in there, it's not going to matter which one I pick. So let's put it into the top one. 6 times, not x, but now 5, minus 4y equals 14. Distribute that negative 6, or excuse me, that positive 6. 6 times 5 is 30, minus the 4y equals 14. How many things are preventing y from being by itself? There's that 30 and a negative 4, so I'm going to have to do 2 more steps to get y by itself. Subtract 30 from both sides. I'm left with negative 4y equals 14 minus 30 is negative 16. Divide both sides by negative 4. That's my second step. Y equals positive 4. My solution there is 5, 4. All right, moving on. Now I'm looking to see which variable I can cancel out. The x's don't have the same coefficient, but the y's do. Now I have the same sign, so I'm going to subtract. All right? When you subtract, you're going to do just like we normally do with subtraction. Keep the first thing the same. So we're going to keep the top, change the subtraction to an addition, and change all of the signs of the bottom. If they were positive, we're making them negative. If they're negative, we're making them positive. And continue. So now I'm going to be adding since I changed all those signs. 4 plus negative 5x is negative x. 3 plus negative 3y cancels out. So I'm just left with negative x equals 2 plus 2 is 4. X is not by itself. You got to divide by that invisible negative 1. X is equal to negative 4. Plug that back into either equation, either original equation. Let's put it into the top one. Going in for x. So 4 times negative 4 plus 3y equals 2. Distribute the 4. Negative 16 plus 3y equals 2. Add 16 to both sides. I'm left with 3y equals 18. Last step, divide both sides by 3. Y equals 6. Negative 4, 6 is my solution. All right, and moving on. We have a 5x and a negative x. Those don't have the same coefficient, but the y's do. We also here have the same sign. So same sign, we're going to subtract. And when we subtract, don't forget to keep the top the same, change it to a plus, and change the sign of the entire bottom row. I made that x a positive, the 6 a negative, and the 26 a negative. And then we're going to add 5 plus x is 6x. 6 plus negative 6 zeroes out. And then 50 plus negative 26 is 24. Divide both sides by 6. X equals 4. Plug that back into either equation. I'm going to plug it into the top one. I don't know why, just feel like it. 5 times 4 plus 6y equals 50. Distribute the 5. 20 plus 6y equals 50. Subtract 20 from both sides. 6y equals 30. Divide both sides by 6. Y equals 5. Our solution was 4, 5. Moving on, because the video is probably going to cut me off soon. So let's continue here. Now, instead of adding or subtracting, I'm going to have to multiply first. So I'm not going to have this same coefficient with my variables. I'm going to have to multiply by something first. Now, it's convenient that I have an x with a 1 coefficient or a negative 1 coefficient and a y with a 1 coefficient. That means it's going to be very simple to turn either of these into whatever the x and the y coefficient are in the top equation. For the sake, it doesn't matter. I'm going to say I want my my x's to be the same. I need to turn this x into a 3, and it's going to be fine if they're different signs. How am I going to make that x into a 3 or a negative 3? I'm going to multiply that entire bottom row by 3. And then I'm going to distribute to everything in that bottom equation. 3 times negative x is negative 3x. 3 times y is 3y equals 3 times 1 is 1. And then just rewrite that top equation. We have the 3x minus the 2y equals 3. Now, do I have the same signs or different? They are different signs, or opposite signs, so I'm going to add to zero out the x's. Negative 2 plus 3y is just 1y equals 3 plus 1 is 4. Officially, I could divide by the 1, but I still know that y equals 4. And then you're going to substitute that back in to either original equation. Let's do it into the bottom one. Okay, so I'm going to put in this 4 for y. Negative x plus 4 equals 1. Subtract 4 from both sides. Negative x equals 1 minus 4 is negative 3. Divide by negative 1. X equals 3. Number 6, same thing. I do not have any of my coefficients that are the same, so I'm going to try to make something the same. I can't really make a 2 into a 3 or a 3 into a 2. And I can't really make a 10 into a 5, but I can make the 5 into a 10. And really what I'm going to want to do is make it into a negative 10 so that my y's will zero out. So to make this 5y into a negative 10y, I'm going to multiply the whole thing by a negative 2. And then distribute. Negative 2x minus 10y equals negative 6. And rewrite your second equation. Just write it on over. 3x plus 10y equals negative 3. Opposite signs, so I'm going to add. Opposite signs, the 10 and the 10 those had opposite signs, so I'm going to add. 2 plus 3x is x. My negative 10y and positive 10y cancel out. Equals negative 6 plus negative 3 is negative 9. And I'm going to plug that into either original equation. Let's just put it into the top one. So I have 2, not times x, but times negative 9 plus 5y equals 3. Distribute negative 18 plus 5y equals 3. Hold on. Did I mess up? 18. Oh, it's a positive 18. Oh, because, let's see. This negative 2. Oh, hold on. 1 second. I'm confused. Hold on. What I didn't do is multiply this negative 2 times the 2. This should have been negative 4. And negative 4 plus 3x is a negative x. And then the last step I had to do would be to divide by negative 1. So x equals positive 9. All right, and then I have a positive 9 times 18 is positive 18. There it is. And then I'm going to get rid of the positive 18 by subtracting 18. 5y equals negative 15. And divide by 5. Y equals negative 3. Okay. I'm going to do this last problem with you in class, but what I'm going to do is pause the video and write in the summary, and then pause, and then you can pause the video to write down what we wrote for the summary. And for your left-hand page, I want you to do numbers 1, 4, 5, 8, 9, and 12. Okay, kind of makes a zigzag. That's what I want you to do. So you're going to pause the video in just a second to write down the summary. Okay, so be sure to write down this summary. Make sure you write down all of it. If you have any questions, you can always email me. And the code word for this lesson is papermate. Papermate.